Usually when we talk about a sports jersey, there is this underlying expectation of just pure, unadulterated utility.
Oh, right, like function over form.
Exactly. If you look back historically, athletic wear was essentially just a tool,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty rudimentary one at that. You put it on, it absorbs sweat, often terribly. I mean, if we were talking about those old heavy wool sweaters athletes used to wear a century ago.
It looks so uncomfortable.
Right. And its main job was really just to tell the referee and the fans what team you were on. That was pretty much the end of the story. It was just a utilitarian garment designed to endure physical abuse.
Yeah, I mean, it was a uniform in the strictest sense of the word. The primary design directive was just function over form, durability over aesthetics.
Right.
If you look at the evolution of sportswear, the athlete's comfort and the visual narrative of the clothing were entirely secondary to just having a standardized piece of fabric, something that wouldn't tear during a rugby scrum or a slide tackle.
Right. It was either breathable fabric or non-breathable fabric. Maybe it had a stripe if you were lucky. It was completely straightforward. You bought a shirt to run in, and it looked like a shirt you ran in.
We culturally developed this preference for athletic gear to just, quietly do its job in the background.
Yeah, invisible almost.
Exactly. The ideal sports garment was invisible to the athlete. It shouldn't chafe, it shouldn't restrict movement, and it definitely shouldn't distract. The entire philosophy was to let the garment fade into the periphery so the athlete could focus entirely on their biomechanics, their strategy, their performance.
But then you step into the world of modern sports branding.
Yeah.
You step into the minds of contemporary apparel designers, and suddenly that simple piece of stitched fabric is carrying the weight of an entire culture.
Oh, totally. The expectation has completely shifted.
It has. We are looking at a design landscape today that is incredibly complex. A jersey isn't just a shirt anymore. I mean, it's a statement of identity, a technological marvel, and a billboard all wrapped into one.
It has evolved into the absolute definition of wearable storytelling. The amount of psychological engineering, cultural research, and material science that goes into these garments now is just staggering.
It's wild to think about.
It really is. Designers aren't just picking colors out of a Pantone book because they look nice together. They're conducting deep demographic studies, they're analyzing cultural trends, and even considering how the fabric interacts with high-definition broadcast cameras.
And that actually brings us to why we are here today.
Yeah.
So welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we are turning our attention to this really fascinating design and branding document for a new athletic apparel brand called Lumiere.
It's a great case study.
It really is. We've got our hands on a stack of sources that give us a complete bottom-to-top breakdown of their New Jersey concept. So we aren't just looking at the final product, we are looking at the raw architectural blueprints of a brand's visual identity.
We are essentially looking at a masterclass in how you position a brand in a highly saturated, hyper-competitive market. And they do it by using highly specific visual cues.
Because the market is just packed right now.
Right. The sportswear market is dominated by behemoths. Brands with billions of dollars and decades of heritage. For a new player like Lumiere to step onto the field, they can't just make a good shirt. They have to make a garment that instantly communicates a complex philosophy.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to me, it's wild that a jersey isn't just a piece of fabric anymore, but it's an actual collision of two completely different worlds.
Yeah, it really is a collision.
So the mission for us today is to explore how this single piece of Lumiere apparel bridges a massive gap. On one side, you have this high-speed digital futurism, and on the other side, you have deep traditional cultural heritage. You are essentially putting on a philosophy before you even step onto the pitch.
And for you listening, whether you happen to be a graphic designer, a competitive athlete, or honestly just someone who appreciates good aesthetics and modern streetwear, keep in mind that there is a massive amount of intentionality behind every single stitch.
Every single detail.
Exactly. Every pattern and every color choice we are about to explore. Nothing on this jersey happens by accident. Every single element, every gradient, every cut of the fabric has to justify its existence.
The foundational concept of this Lumiere jersey is described in the documents as a modern futuristic aesthetic. When you read the design notes, the language is very aggressive. You see words like sharp geometric lines, velocity, momentum.
Very dynamic terms.
Yeah, super dynamic. But then, right underneath that, integrated directly into the base fabric, there's a subtle underlying traditional motif. The source specifies it resembles local Malaysian Batik or traditional wood carvings. And those two things do not usually belong in the same sentence.
No, they don't. And what's fascinating here is the deliberate tension they are creating between these two design elements. That is what elevates this from a piece of clothing to a piece of design.
Okay.
Well, if you study design history, especially in apparel, you usually choose a lane. You are either designing something hyper-modern and sleek, think minimalist, aerodynamic, forward-looking synthetic materials, or you are leaning heavily into heritage.
Right, which is more about organic shapes and history.
Exactly. Heritage is characterized by organic shapes, historical patterns, nostalgia, and natural fibers.
And you usually don't mix the two because they fight each other. I mean, if you wear a heritage piece, it looks like a throwback. It feels like you were celebrating the past. But if you wear a futuristic piece, it can easily look like a sci-fi movie costume. It feels a bit detached from reality.
Right. So by layering them, they are attempting something very difficult. The sharp geometric lines on the outer layer of the design represent forward momentum. They represent technology, speed, the digital age. They are the aggressive, forward-facing elements.
But then you have the base.
Right, but underneath that, acting as the literal foundation on the base fabric, you have this subtle batik and carving motif.
We should probably pause and talk about batik for a second, actually, just so everyone listening understands the weight of what's being used as this base layer. Traditional Malaysian batik isn't just a random floral print.
Oh, far from it.
It's a highly intricate, historically rich, wax-resist dyeing technique. It involves stamping or drawing patterns with hot wax, dyeing the cloth, and then repeating the process to create these incredibly complex, organic, flowing designs. It's an art form that has been passed down for generations. It represents craftsmanship, patience, and deep cultural roots.
And contrast that craftsmanship and patience with the concept of sharp geometric lines representing digital speed. By making the traditional painstaking art form of batik the base layer, the designers are making a profound statement.
Which is?
The statement is basically that our future, our momentum, is built directly upon our history. It anchors the design. It prevents the futurism from feeling cold and sterile, which is a very common pitfall in modern athletic wear.
Oh, for sure. Sometimes gear looks so modern it feels alien, like it was designed by an algorithm rather than an actual human. Yes, exactly.
Think of it like a futuristic skyscraper that has ancient, beautiful, intricate wood carvings right on its foundation.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, like when you walk up to it from a distance, you see this sleek glass and steel monolith reaching up into the clouds. That's the sharp geometric lines of the jersey catching the light. But when you get up close, when you actually touch the building at the ground level, you feel the texture of those ancient carvings. You realize the entire hypermodern structure is resting on something ancient and deeply human.
And that texture, that subtlety in the base layer, is what makes it a harmonious blend rather than just a messy clash.
Right.
If the batik pattern was loud, if it was brightly colored and competing directly with the geometric lines for your eye's attention, the design would completely fail. It would just be visual noise. The brain wouldn't know what to focus on, and the garment would look cheap and cluttered. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But does the fact that the traditional motif is described in the notes as subtle and underlying mean it's taking a backseat to the futurism, though? Like, are they hiding the heritage? Or is it actually the foundation holding the whole design together?
In visual hierarchy, what you notice first isn't always what gives the piece its value or its soul. The geometric lines are the shout, right? They catch your eye from across the street or from the stands of a stadium. But the subtle batik pattern is the whisper.
Oh, I like that. The whisper.
Yeah, it's what you notice when you are having a conversation with the person wearing it, or more importantly, when you are putting it on yourself in the locker room. It rewards close attention. It creates an intimacy with the wearer. It's a message that says we are moving fast into the future, but we carry our roots with us.
It grounds it. Without the batik, it's just another fast-looking sports shirt. With it, it's specifically a Malaysian sports shirt moving into the future. It claims a geographic and cultural origin. But, you know, a concept can be absolutely amazing on paper, deeply poetic and rich in meaning, and still fail entirely if the physical application is wrong. If the shirt fits like a garbage bag, no one is wearing it, no matter how cool the subliminal messaging is.
The translation from a 2D design document to a 3D garment wrapping a moving human body is where most concepts fall apart.
For sure.
But the sources emphasize that this physical cut is meant to deliver an athletic, ready-to-wear look that supports agile movement. Specifically, the documents detail a V-neck collar and a body-fit silhouette.
Let's break down the physical cut. Why those specific choices? Because they could have gone with a standard crew neck or a looser, more relaxed fit, especially if they're trying to appeal to a broad audience.
Well, the choice of a V-neck and a body-fit silhouette is highly strategic, both visually and biomechanically. Visually, a V-neck inherently draws the eye downward along the center of the chest. It creates an illusion of broader shoulders and a narrower
So it
waist.
makes you look more athletic instantly.
Right, it forms an inverted triangle, which is a classically athletic, flattering cut on almost any body type. It instantly communicates a sense of fitness and readiness.
And what about the body fit aspect?
That is crucial for the agile movement they are targeting. The sources mention sports like futsal and cycling. If you're playing futsal, which is high-speed, close-quarters indoor football, or if you are cycling against wind resistance, loose fabric is your absolute enemy.
Oh yeah, it just gets in the way.
Exactly. It creates aerodynamic drag, it gets pulled by opponents, it bunches up under the arms and restricts your range of motion. A body-fit silhouette acts like a second skin.
So the physical cut is doing exactly what the geometric lines are doing visually. It's streamlining the wearer. It's literally reducing physical friction in the real world, while the design reduces visual friction in the aesthetic world.
Spot on. The physical garment and the visual design have to work in total tandem. If they fight each other, the jersey fails. Imagine putting these high-speed, aggressive, futuristic lines on a baggy, oversized cotton t-shirt.
It would look ridiculous.
The message would be completely lost. The form must follow the function, and here, the form is speed.
But designing a body-fit jersey with this complex layering of futurism and tradition seems risky.
Yeah.
If you don't get the contrast exactly right, all those beautiful details, the subtle batik, the geometric lines, they just turn to mush on the human body, especially when that body is sweating and in rapid motion on a field.
Which is exactly why a strong conceptual foundation and a good silhouette are only half the battle. To actually make this futurism meets tradition concept readable on a moving human body, the brand had to rely on one of the most powerful psychological tools in all of design.
Color.
Yes, color theory. Color is the loudest voice in any design language.
Yeah, before you can make out the logo, before you can see the subtle batik patterns, before you even register the V-neck, your brain processes the color palette. It sets the emotional stage in milliseconds. And the sources outline a very specific, vibrant, and high-contrast color scheme for the Lumiere jersey. The primary colors acting as the base are royal blue and navy blue. And then slicing through that dark base, the accent colors are neon green or lime green.
It's a masterfully constructed palette, and it relies heavily on the principles of color psychology and optical contrast. Let's break down the foundation first. Royal blue and navy blue.
Okay.
In color psychology, deep blues are arguably the most stable, reassuring colors on the spectrum. They exude professionalism, solidity, confidence, and composure. Think about corporate branding, banking logos, or naval uniforms. Dark blue communicates, I am in control, I am established, I am reliable.
It's a visually stable canvas. It's not chaotic like a bright red or an orange would be. It creates a massive, calm foundation.
Right. And by using navy and royal blue, they're establishing a base of absolute composure. This is essential when you consider the sheer visual volume of what they're layering on top of it. If the base was chaotic, the whole jersey would be unreadable.
And what they are layering on top is the neon. Neon green or lime green. This is the exact antithesis of deep, calming blue. Neon green is high visibility, it is entirely modern, it is pure kinetic energy.
It's electric.
Yeah, it's the color of sports drinks, of high visibility safety gear, of highlighter pens, of digital interfaces. It screams for attention.
And the contrast is what makes a design function. This is about optical physics as much as it is about aesthetics. If you put neon green on a white background, it's bright, yes, but it lacks punch. The values are too similar, it strains the eye because the edges blur. But placing neon green on top of royal and navy blue creates maximum value contrast.
I picture it like a digital dashboard in a completely dark room. The navy blue is that sleek, dark interface, the matte black plastic or the dark glass of the screen. It's quiet, it recedes into the background. And then the neon green represents those active, glowing data streams pulsing across the screen. You absolutely need the darkness of the blue to make the green actually look like it's glowing.
That's a perfect way to visualize it. The dark blues allow those neon elements and the sharp geometric graphics to literally pop off the fabric. It creates a pseudo three-dimensional effect. Optically, cool dark colors like navy recede away from the viewer, while bright, warm, or neon colors advance toward the viewer.
So it creates depth.
Exactly. This means that even from the bleachers of a stadium or on a fast-moving camera pan during a television broadcast, the energy and the shape of the jersey are instantly readable.
It's engineered visibility. It's not just bright for the sake of being bright, it's bright with a specific optical purpose. They're controlling exactly where your eye goes. But as if the neon wasn't enough to catch the eye, there's another detail in the notes that really stands out to me. There is a holographic, multicolored gradient effect specifically applied to the L logo positioned on the lower chest.
Ah, yes. This raises an interesting point about how we perceive premium athletic wear today. In the past, premium meant understated.
Like Wimbledon.
Right. Think of a classic crisp white tennis outfit at Wimbledon, or a simple, heavy cotton rugby shirt. Premium meant quiet luxury. But today, especially in the intersection of streetwear and sportswear, premium often involves complex, highly engineered visual dynamics.
Holographic elements always feel inherently futuristic to me. It reminds me of rare trading cards from the 90s, where pulling the holographic foil card was the ultimate prize. But here, it's elevated to high fashion. It catches the light, it shifts colors. It's playful but highly technical.
And holographic elements interact dynamically with their environment. As the wearer moves, as the ambient light changes, the colors of the logo shift and morph. It makes the garment feel alive and highly responsive. It instantly elevates the apparel, communicating to the viewer that this isn't just a standard screen-printed t-shirt that was stamped out in a second.
Right, it feels like a piece of engineered hardware.
Precisely.
But here's my question for you, because this really stuck out to me when reading through the source documents. Why put a premium holographic element, this shiny color-shifting L, on the lower chest? Usually, if a brand has a cool premium logo, they slap it front and center right over the heart or massively across the middle of the sternum. Why drop it down to the lower abdomen area?
It's a great question. If we look at the biomechanics of an athlete, that placement actually makes a lot of strategic sense. Think about how a body moves during high-intensity sports like futsal or running.
Okay, the biomechanics of running. The legs are pumping, the arms are swinging.
But look at the torso. The upper chest, the sternum area, is relatively stable. An athlete tries to keep their upper body quiet and efficient to conserve energy and maintain balance. But the lower torso, the core, the hips, that area is constantly twisting, turning, and pivoting.
Oh, wow. I see where this is going.
Right. By placing a holographic element on the lower chest or upper abdomen, it is positioned exactly at the axis of the body's rotation. It catches the light constantly as the athlete twists and moves their core.
That is so smart.
It maximizes that color-shifting optical effect, drawing visual attention to the agility and dynamic movement of the wearer's body. If it were on the upper chest, it would just sit flat most of the time. On the lower chest, it's constantly activated.
So the logo is literally activated by the physical movement of the sport. It's not just sitting there passively, it's actually participating in the action. And that holographic L obviously stands for Lumiere, which is the perfect transition into the actual conceptual inspiration for this whole piece.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the neon green, the holographic shifting light, the geometric speed lines, none of this is random. It all ties back to the actual name of the brand.
The name of a brand dictates its entire visual vocabulary. If your brand is named after an animal, you use aggressive, organic shapes. If your brand is named after a mountain, you use stable, triangular shapes. Lumiere translates to light in French, and that provides an incredibly rich, energetic vocabulary to draw from.
The source material states that the bright geometric streaks in the design, those neon green accents we were just talking about, are directly inspired by laser beams, digital speed, and flowing energy. They took the literal translation of the brand name, light, and made it the core visual language of the garment.
It's a very literal interpretation, but executed abstractly, which is why it succeeds. If they had just printed a picture of a glowing light bulb or a flashlight on the shirt, it would be comical.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
Instead, they captured the properties of light. What does light represent in physics and in culture? Lasers represent absolute precision, intense focus, cutting-edge technology, and most importantly, the absolute maximum limit of speed.
The speed of light. You literally cannot go faster in this universe. What an incredible subliminal message to encode onto a sports jersey meant for athletes whose entire goal is to be faster than their opponent.
And when you put on a jersey that utilizes the visual language of laser beams and flowing energy, it can actually alter your psychological state. There is a well-documented psychological phenomenon known as enclosed cognition.
Enclosed cognition. Break that down for the listener.
It's the scientific idea that the clothes we wear actually influence our psychological processes, our confidence, and even our physical performance. The classic study involves giving people a white coat. If you tell them it's a doctor's coat, they perform better on tests requiring intense focus and care.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, but if you tell them it's a painter's smock, they don't show that same increase in focus, but they might show more creativity. The symbolic meaning of the clothing literally changes how the brain operates.
So if you wear something that embodies the speed of light, precision, and futuristic technology, you are priming your brain to act with speed and precision. You put on the fast shirt, your brain says we are fast now, and you feel fast.
Precisely. You are internalizing the brand's narrative. But this specific jersey isn't just carrying the burden of making one individual person feel quick. It's carrying a much heavier cultural burden. The sources mention a very prominent feature. The words Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia are placed directly on the chest, integrating iconic local sponsors to evoke national pride in the sports arena.
This is where we see that colliding worlds concept manifest in the actual text of the jersey. We have the laser beams of the future, the enclosed cognition of digital speed, but right in the middle of all that futurism, we have the explicit naming of the homeland.
Placing the capital city and the nation on the chest transforms the jersey's purpose. It elevates it from being a generic piece of highly engineered athletic wear into a banner, a standard. It ceases to be just about the individual athlete and becomes about representation.
I want the listener to just imagine this for a second. Think about typical patriotic clothing. Usually, if you wear something that proudly represents your hometown or your country, it looks backward. It's a retro throwback jersey from the 1980s, or it's a cotton souvenir shop t-shirt with a faded, distressed flag printed on it to make it look old.
Yeah, it's usually steeped in nostalgia.
Right. But imagine wearing a representation of your country that looks like a uniform worn by an elite athlete in the year 2050.
It redefines patriotism and local pride for a new generation. It's not looking backward, nostalgic for a past golden age. It's aggressively looking forward. It asserts that Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia are not just historical entities, but active, driving forces in the modern, high-speed digital world.
The laser beams become the momentum.
Exactly. The flowing energy of the laser beams becomes a direct metaphor for the vitality and forward momentum of the Malaysian identity itself.
It's taking local pride and literally shooting it into the future. And when you combine that national pride with the integration of iconic local sponsors, it feels unified. It doesn't feel like a local team sold their soul to a random multinational corporation just for funding. It feels like the whole community, the athletes, the local businesses, the culture is pushing forward together.
It creates a narrative of collective momentum. The individual athlete wears the speed of light, but they carry the weight, the support, and the economic engine of the nation on their chest. It's a very powerful emotional cocktail for both the wearer and the fans watching.
So we have this incredible dense blend of concepts. We have high-energy, light-speed visuals. We have the deeply rooted Malaysian Batik heritage acting as the foundation. We have uncompromising national pride. And it's all wrapped in a sleek, body-fit silhouette with neon-on navy color blocking.
That's a lot to balance.
It is. So the obvious question now, when you have a garment trying to do this many things at once, is who is actually going to wear this? Who is the target demographic for a futuristic heritage laser batik jersey?
Identifying the target audience is where theoretical, high-concept design meets harsh market reality. You can have the most beautiful, conceptually rich, culturally resonant jersey in the world, but if it doesn't align with the actual lifestyle and daily habits of the consumer, it just stays on the rack.
Right. Well, according to the source material, the target audience here is impressively broad, almost surprisingly so. It spans traditional athletes and sports communities, specifically calling out running, football, futsal, and cycling. But then, in the very same breath, it includes esports, and on top of that, it targets the younger generation, Gen Z, and millennials, who are looking for stylish athleisure or lifestyle wear.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this audience breakdown tells us everything about where modern culture is heading. But let's look at the inclusion of esports first, because that is a vital, defining detail for this garment.
Wait a minute. I'm just connecting the dots on this. You have running, cycling, futsal. These are intense physical cardiovascular sports. You are sweating, you are dealing with friction, you need that body fit silhouette, and then you have esports.
Two very different environments.
Yeah, esports is incredibly intense mentally. The reaction times are superhuman, but it is entirely stationary. You are sitting in a highly ergonomic chair in a climate-controlled arena. Why would a cyclist and an esports athlete wear the exact same highly engineered garment?
Because of the visual language we've been unpacking this whole time, let's revisit the aesthetic. The neon green accents slicing through the dark navy blue canvas, the holographic color-shifting logo, the laser beams, the literal concept of digital speed.
Oh my God. Dark background, glowing neon green accents. You were describing a high-end gaming PC.
Exactly. That is the exact aesthetic vernacular of modern gaming and esports culture. Think about the hardware dark towers with glowing RGB internal lights, backlit mechanical keyboards, dark arenas illuminated by massive LED screens. The design of the Lumiere jersey perfectly bridges the physical and the digital.
That is a crazy connection. The neon on navy is literally the color scheme of a Twitch streamer's setup. So if you are an esports athlete, this feels like armor made specifically for your environment. It validates you.
It validates esports athletes by providing them with a garment that possesses the physical performance specs of traditional sports gear, showing that they are real athletes, but it retains the aesthetic soul of the digital realm. It looks just as appropriate, just as intimidating under the stark stadium floodlights of a football pitch as it does under the glow of a computer monitor in a gaming arena.
It's a uniform for the digital age, whether you are running on a track or running a server. Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second, though. I understand the traditional sports connection, and you just perfectly explained the esports connection. But what about the lifestyle wear, the athleisure demographic?
Ah, the holy grail for any apparel brand.
Right. Every brand wants Gen Z and millennials wearing their gear to the grocery store. But if a garment is designed with a tight body-fit silhouette, specifically for high-intensity sweating, aerodynamic drag reduction in cycling, and high visibility on a futsal court, how does it successfully cross over into casual streetwear?
It's a tricky balance.
Usually, hyper-functional sports gear looks ridiculous in a casual setting. You wear a highly technical cycling jersey to get a coffee, and you look like you got lost on your way to the Tour de France. It's too intense.
It's a very valid challenge, and it's a trap many brands fall into. The graveyard of fashion is full of hardcore sports brands that tried to make the leap into casual streetwear and failed miserably because their clothing looked too utilitarian, too aggressive, or just inherently unstylish outside of a gym.
Yeah, nobody wants to look like they're about to run a marathon at the cafe.
Right. But this is where the specific design choices made by Lumiere, which we discussed earlier, save the concept from that fate. It all comes down to the silhouette and the color blocking.
Break that down for me. How does a V-neck save a cycling shirt from looking like a cycling shirt?
The modern silhouette, specifically the stylish V-neck collar, is a cut that has deep roots in casual fashion, not just sports. It flatters the body and frames the face regardless of whether you are sprinting down a wing or sitting comfortably in a cafe. It doesn't look like a standard, restrictive crewneck gym shirt. It has a relaxed confidence to it.
Okay, I see that.
And then you add the bold, vibrant color blocking.
The fashionable neon on navy.
Right. That high contrast blocking is exactly what millennials and Gen Z look for in streetwear today. Streetwear is about making a statement. It is striking. And crucially for this demographic, it is highly photogenic.
Ah, the social media factor, of course.
The high contrast of the neon popping off the navy blue looks incredible on an Instagram feed or a fast-moving TikTok video. It catches the algorithm's eye just as well as it catches the human eye. In the realm of athleisure, a garment must be fashionable first, functional second.
The wearer might not be running a marathon today. They might literally just be walking to the subway. But they want to project the vibe of dynamism, energy, and readiness.
And the Lumiere jersey provides that vibe effortlessly. The traditional Batik base layer gives it an air of cultural credibility and depth. It proves it isn't just mass-produced fast fashion. The neon gives it modern pop and relevance. And the high-end fabric makes it comfortable enough to wear all day. It transcends being just a piece of sports equipment. It becomes a statement piece.
It's a flex. You wear it because it looks premium, and it tells a complex story about who you are. You're telling the world, I am active, I am digitally native, I understand modern aesthetics, but I'm also deeply connected to my cultural roots, which, as you said, is the holy grail for any apparel brand right now.
Achieving that holy grail is incredibly difficult, particularly when you are a new entity competing against giant, entrenched global sportswear brands. Brands that have virtually unlimited marketing budgets and decades of established heritage to lean on.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Because to wrap up exactly why someone, whether they are a futsal player, an esports champion, or a Gen Z streetwear enthusiast, would choose this Lumiere jersey over a shirt with a giant, globally recognized swoosh or 3 stripes on it, we need to look at the anatomy of premium design.
Yes, the
The
differentiators.
sources outline 3 primary, ultimate competitive advantages of this specific design document.
The 3 primary advantages outlined are strong visual aesthetics, clean branding placement, and a premium impression driven by complex graphics. We've discussed the strong visual aesthetics extensively, how the neon and dark blue ensure the wearer stands out on the track or the field, and how the batik creates that subconscious foundation.
Yeah, you definitely will not blend into the background wearing this, which is half the battle for an athlete or a streetwear fan. But I really want to zero in on the second advantage they list, clean branding placement. The notes specifically mention that the Lumiere Malaysia brand logo is prominently displayed on the center chest as the main identity, and it's neatly balanced with sponsor spots pushed to the shoulders and sleeves. They explicitly note this is to avoid looking cluttered.
This is a critical point in the psychology of sports apparel design, and it's a place where many, many teams get it entirely wrong. It is incredibly easy for sports jerseys, especially in sports that rely heavily on corporate sponsorships like football, cycling, or motor racing, to devolve into chaotic, cluttered billboards.
Oh, we've all seen them. You look at some racing suits or lower league football jerseys, and it just looks like a page of classified ads. There is no visual hierarchy whatsoever. It's just a dozen different logos with clashing colors and completely different fonts, all screaming for attention at the exact same time.
It's visually exhausting.
It makes the wearer look less like a competitive athlete and more like a walking advertisement. It instantly cheapens the garment.
What's fascinating about the Lumiere design document is the strategic restraint they are demonstrating. By explicitly prioritizing clean branding placement, they are establishing a clear, unbreakable visual hierarchy. The core identity, Lumiere Malaysia, owns the center, the absolute heart of the garment. It declares the origin, the philosophy, and the brand above all else.
And pushing the sponsors to the shoulders and sleeves. How does a sponsor feel about being relegated to the sleeve?
It's actually a brilliant compromise for both parties. For the designer, it maintains the integrity and the premium, exclusive look of the main body of the shirt. The chest remains the canvas for the laser beams and the national pride, but it still fulfills the commercial necessity of displaying sponsor logos, which, pay the bills.
And for the sponsor.
The shoulders and sleeves are still highly visible areas. Think about how an athlete moves. When a football player scores and raises their arms in celebration, the sleeve logos are front and center for the cameras. During close-up broadcast shots, the shoulders frame the athlete's face. The sponsors still get their visibility, but they frame the design rather than invading and destroying it.
It shows a massive amount of respect for the aesthetic. It proves that the design comes first. And I think consumers, especially younger consumers, who are hyper-aware of marketing tactics, intuitively pick up on that restraint. They know when a brand is respecting the integrity of the design versus just selling out every square inch of fabric to the highest bidder.
It builds long-term brand trust. The consumer feels like they are wearing a piece of art, not a flyer. And that restraint, that careful curation of space, feeds directly into the third key advantage, the premium impression. The document notes that it's the complex graphic details that elevate the overall aesthetic.
Right. It's the combination of the subtle batik underlay that you have to look closely to appreciate, combined with the bold, aggressive laser beams, and of course that holographic light-catching effect on the lower logo that activates when the athlete twists.
It makes it look high-end. It makes it look like someone obsessed over the micro details rather than just hitting print on a mass-produced, standardized template. It conveys a level of craftsmanship that justifies a premium position in the market.
So what does this all mean? When you pull back and look at the whole picture, the bold neon visibility slicing through the deep navy composure, the incredibly smart and restrained sponsor placement, the cultural grounding of the historical batik, the futuristic holographic touches, and a silhouette that works for both a sweaty cyclist and a gamer sitting in a chair. It creates a completely unified package. It's a masterclass in modern apparel design.
It proves definitively that you don't need to be a century-old global brand to create a piece of sportswear that resonates deeply with people. You just need a profound understanding of visual language, cultural context, optical physics, and the psychology of your wearer.
Which brings us to the end of our journey today. Let's take a breath and do a quick recap of what we just unpacked. We've explored how the Lumiere jersey refuses to be just a piece of fabric. It acts as a literal bridge between eras.
A very stylish bridge.
Seriously. It takes the unshakable corporate solidity of royal and navy blue, injects it with the kinetic, high-visibility energy of neon green laser beams, layers all of that modern technology over the deeply rooted, painstaking heritage of traditional Malaysian batik, and tailors the physical silhouette so perfectly that it feels just as at home under the neon lights of an esports arena as it does in the casual street style of Gen Z.
It is a remarkable synthesis of complex, often contradictory ideas, and it leaves us with an interesting thread to pull on as we close out this discussion. I want you to consider what you are wearing right now, you listening to this.
Yeah, take a second. Look down at your shirt, your jacket, the shoes on your feet.
How much of our modern clothing actually tells a story? How much of it speaks to where we come from as a culture versus where we are going in the future? So often we treat fashion as purely disposable, fast fashion meant to be thrown away after a season, or purely functional gear meant to absorb sweat and nothing else. But the Lumiere jersey proves that we don't have to choose between honoring our cultural heritage and embracing our digital future. Through thoughtful, intentional design, we can literally weave them together. We can wear our history proudly on our chest while running at the speed of light toward whatever comes next.
Weaving the past and the future together on the very fabric we put on our backs. It definitely makes you want to look a little closer at the design of the world around you, to read the hidden language in the objects we use every day, and maybe expect a little bit more from the things you choose to wear. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of wearable storytelling.
It's been a fascinating exploration. Keep questioning the design you see every day. There's always a reason behind it.
We will catch you on the next one. Until then, remember that the X-ray machine of design might be murky, but if you look closely enough, every thread, every color, and every cut has a purpose. Stay curious, everyone.
Let's jump right into this explainer, shall we? Today, we're breaking down the visual and cultural DNA of a genuinely fascinating piece of modern sportswear, the Lumiere brand jersey. We're going to look closely at how a seemingly simple piece of athletic gear actually serves as a massive canvas for something much deeper. Honestly, this isn't just about fabric and stitching at all. It's an absolute masterclass in merging high-speed, modern design with some really deep cultural roots. So here's the big question we're tackling today. What actually happens when digital futurism collides with traditional heritage? Think about it. How can high-speed laser aesthetics possibly harmonize with centuries-old traditional motifs? I mean, on paper, it sounds like a complete clash waiting to happen, right? But as we unpack the visual data of this jersey, you'll see exactly how these two totally opposite worlds are brought together into a single, unified vibe that feels incredibly fresh, yet still so deeply grounded. Okay, let's move into our first theme, the blueprint. To really get what this design is doing, we have to understand its core concept and inspiration, specifically that delicate balance between modern energy and historical weight. And this brilliantly illustrates the jersey's DNA. On one hand, you've got geometric futurism, which is all about those sharp, energetic lines. But then, on the other hand, you have a traditional batik motif, calling back to local heritage. What the designers did here is so clever. They place those sharp, futuristic lines directly over the subtle, traditional pattern that's woven right into the base fabric. It creates this beautiful harmony where the modern tech doesn't erase the Malaysian heritage, it actually shines a spotlight on it. Now, you might be wondering, where exactly is all this modern energy coming from? Well, the answer is literally in the name. Lumiere is French for light, and that directly drives the overall look. Those bright geometric streaks running across the garment, they aren't just random shapes. They're explicitly inspired by laser beams, digital speed, and flowing energy. The whole idea is to make the design look like it's in constant motion, even when the person wearing it is standing completely still. Pretty cool, right? But we have to remember this isn't just high-tech conceptual art meant to hang in a gallery. It is highly functional. The V-neck collar and body fit silhouette give it a super sporty, dynamic, ready-to-wear feel. It's built specifically to handle agile, athletic movement. So the aesthetics, they never, ever get in the way of actual performance. Let's shift gears and talk about the palette, the colors of speed. In high-level sportswear, color entirely dictates perception. And here, the color choices completely shift the tone to make everything feel incredibly energetic and just fast. Breaking down that palette, we start off with a royal and navy blue foundation. If you look at color psychology, these primary dark blues exude professionalism, solidity, confidence, and composure, which are exactly the traits you want to project as an athlete. Then they inject this massive hit of trendy energy using neon or lime green accents. It has this modern, high-visibility punch that makes the logos and graphic details literally pop off that dark background. And to top the whole shebang off, holographic details that add a fantastic layer of complexity. So the really crucial point here is how those holographic details are actually applied. Take a look at the lower chest. There's a specific holographic L logo sitting right there. And it's not just a flat print, it showcases a multicolored gradient effect. This means as the wearer moves, the logo actually catches the light. It acts as a premium centerpiece, dramatically elevating the whole aesthetic and giving the jersey a really exclusive high-end vibe. Next up, let's look at designing Malaysian pride. Because honestly, it would be so easy for a futuristic design like this to feel totally alien or disconnected from its origins. But Lumiere uses very specific geographical and cultural markers to make sure the wearer is carrying their heritage quite literally on their chest. The execution here is super direct. You've got the prominent placement of Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia right on the front, seamlessly integrated with iconic local sponsors on the shoulders and sleeves. This is way more than just corporate branding. It taps straight into that emotional pride of representing your nation in the sports arena. It takes all that laser beam futurism and grounds it in a real physical place. All right, let's move on to the execution, specifically the target audience and real-world application, so we can see how this design bridges the gap between different modern demographics. What's fascinating is how this perfectly targets two totally distinct groups. On one side, you have athletes and sports communities who absolutely need dynamic fits for high-intensity stuff, running, football, futsal, cycling, or even esports. But then, on the other side, you've got Gen Z and millennials. This stylish, colorful design appeals massively to a younger crowd who want to look fashionable while working out, or who just want to rock it as everyday lifestyle wear, what we usually call athleisure. It effortlessly blurs that line between pure performance gear and streetwear. Ultimately, this jersey wins by delivering a solid 1-2-3 punch. Step 1, strong visual aesthetics. Pairing neon accents with dark blue basically guarantees you're going to stand out on the field or the track. Step 2, clean branding placement. The brand logo is front and center as the main identity, but it's perfectly balanced with the sponsor spots so it never looks cluttered. And step 3, a premium impression. The complex graphic details, the traditional motifs, and that awesome holographic gradient effect just make the whole thing feel highly exclusive. Which leaves us with this really fascinating final thought to take away. Looking at how Lumiere so successfully blended ancient batik motifs with laser beam futurism, we kind of have to ask, has modern sportswear, has athleisure become the ultimate canvas for displaying our cultural heritage to the world? It's a brilliant reminder that we don't have to leave our history behind to step confidently into the future. We can literally wear both at the exact same time. Definitely something to think about the next time you put on your favorite team's colors.